You're standing in the garden center aisle, staring at a $47 bag of fertilizer, a $35 soil test kit, and a bottle of something called Bloom Booster. Do the math. That's $94 before you've planted a single seed. My Amish grandfather would have laughed. His tomatoes were the size of your fist, and he never bought any of it. He followed 7 rules that produced more food from a quarter acre than most people pull from a full one. Here's what they don't want you to know. Rule number 1. The plant is just the part you can see, my grandfather said. The garden is underground. Chemical fertilizer feeds the plant directly, like an IV drip instead of a meal. It greens things up fast, but the soil gets weaker every season. The Amish feed the soil first. Aged manure spread every fall. A cover crop of winter rye turned under in spring. That combination dumps nitrogen and organic matter exactly where roots need it, and the soil holds water like a sponge all summer. Build the system once. Let it do the work forever. Rule number 2. My grandmother kept a white enamel pail under the sink. Eggshells, carrot peels, coffee grounds, every scrap went in. My grandfather carried it to the compost pile every evening and called it black gold. A $47 bag of 10-10-10 feeds a garden for one season. A compost pile fed by kitchen scraps feeds it forever, for free. 1 bucket of greens to 2 buckets of browns. Layer it. Turn it once a month. In 6 months, you pull back the top layer and find the best fertilizer on earth underneath. You're not buying a product. You're building a system. Rule number 3. This one shocks people. My grandfather watered once a week, and everything thrived. Shallow watering grows shallow roots. Sprinkle the surface daily, and roots stay in the top inch. They collapse the moment the sun hits hard. My grandfather soaked deep once a week, pushing water 8 inches down. Roots followed, and his tomatoes kept photosynthesizing through the hottest afternoons. Then, 4 inches of straw mulch across every bed. It cuts evaporation by more than half and blocks weeds. An $8 bale of straw and a weekly deep soak. That's the whole system. Rule number 4. My grandfather never checked a weather app. When the forsythia bloomed yellow, it was time to prune the fruit trees. When the oak leaves were the size of a squirrel's ear, the soil was warm enough for corn. When the lilacs faded, the tomatoes went in. A calendar says May 15th every year, regardless of whether spring came early or late. A blooming lilac adjusts perfectly every single season. He kept a pocket notebook, just bloom dates, year after year. And after 5 seasons, it was more accurate than any almanac. Which of these rules have you tried? Compost, deep watering, letting nature set your calendar? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Now, let's get into the 3 rules most people have never heard of. Rule number 5. An Amish garden doesn't look like neat single-crop rows. It's a patchwork. Beans climbing corn stalks, marigolds tucked between tomatoes, nasturtiums along the squash bed. Corn gives pole beans a free trellis. Beans pump nitrogen into the soil at the corn's roots. Squash shades the ground and blocks weeds. That trio, corn, beans, squash, is the 3 sisters. And my grandfather planted them together every year. Marigolds kill nematodes that attack tomato roots. Basil repels hornworms. The Amish didn't have soil labs. They had observation. And that accumulated knowledge is worth more than a shelf of garden chemicals. Rule number 6. Every Sunday afternoon, my grandfather sat on the back porch with a whetstone and sharpened his hoe. Not a rototiller, not a string trimmer, a simple, forged steel hoe with a hickory handle worn smooth by 40 years. A sharp hoe makes weeding fast. So fast, you do it before weeds are bigger than a dime. One pass, and they're gone. Wait until they're the size of your hand, and you're pulling for an hour. My grandfather spent 15 minutes a week weeding a quarter-acre garden. 15 minutes. Maintain the tool, do the work early, let the system do the rest. Rule number 7. Most people pull the last tomato, yank the dead plants, and walk away until spring. That's the mistake. My grandfather treated the week after harvest as the most important week of the year. Pull every spent plant, compost the healthy ones, burn anything diseased. Spread aged manure and turn it under in October so it breaks down for 4 months before spring planting. Then plant winter rye as a cover crop to hold the soil and feed the microbes. 3 steps, an afternoon's work, and his garden started every spring healthier than it ended the previous fall. 7 rules. Feed the soil. Compost your scraps. Water deep once a week. Let nature set the calendar. Let plants help each other. Sharpen your hoe. Close the season right. Not one of these costs a trip to the garden center. Not one requires a $47 bag of anything. That's not nostalgia. That's a system. Subscribe for more forgotten wisdom from the Amish way of life. Next, watch how to keep bugs out of your garden without a single